Drop it on the random.
What does joining Hip Hop Now's Patreon mean? It means supporting the kind of hip hop content that keeps you updated on the latest hip hop news and moves. It means supporting the production of content like That Time in Hip Hop and Hip Hop Now Reviews. It means you care about the conversation and preservation of hip hop music and culture. Hip Hop Now Patreon supporters get exclusive access to bonus content, merchandise, and more. Support the movement. Become a supporter of Hip Hop Now podcast today at patreon.com/Hip Hop Now.
Coming up on Hip Hop Now podcast, Royce the 5'9" drops a new album and hip hop Twitter says it's classic and trash. Drake, Young Thug, and Nicki Minaj have unlimited budgets. And Eminem says he is a guest in hip hop. Read these headlines. This album must be gone. This album must be gone. Come to Hip Hop Podcast. What up, y'all? I am your host, Vegas, and this is Hip Hop Now Podcast, a podcast designed to catch you up on all things hip hop, music, and culture that happened throughout the week. Returning listeners, what up? How you doing? How you feel? How your mama doing? How your baby mama doing? How everybody doing? Everybody. New listeners, I appreciate you coming through, showing a little love, hanging out with me here on this show. And please know that this podcast is available wherever you listen to podcasts. Doesn't matter which app you use. All you got to do is search for the words Hip Hop Now Podcast and you will be locked in. Big shout out to hiphopdx.com, allhiphop.com, Ambrosia for Heads, djbooth.net, and a couple of places where I'm getting these stories from. Let's get right into the business, though. Unfortunately, we got to do this, but we got to say a quick rest in peace to Pop Smoke, Brooklyn rapper, practically brand new on the hip hop scene as far as popularity goes. Star was starting to rise, name was starting to get a little buzz. He was murdered recently in a home invasion. He was 20 years old. And as hip hop fans, regardless if you like this music or not, moment of silence. Rest in peace. Now let's get into a couple of things on this show. I would like to thank first Patreon supporter Junior. He came in at the My Summer Vacation level on Patreon. That's the current tier he's representing from. I just want to say I appreciate you. I appreciate the support. And if you're listening to this podcast and you like the energy, you like what's here, and you want to hear more and you want to see more, go ahead, become a member, become a Patreon supporter of Hip Hop Now Podcast. There are different levels you can join at. You can be a one-time supporter or you can be a monthly supporter. Regardless of what way you choose to support, we appreciate you. Bone Thugs and Harmony have teased a name change to Boneless Thugs and Harmony. Why? Because they clearly have an endorsement deal with Buffalo Wild Wings. So we boneless only. We boneless only. I think it's smart of them to have that. You know what I'm saying? Like, why not? Some people will say, damn, look how the mighty have fallen. I mean, only true Bone Thug fans have actually been checking for them all these years and all this time that's passed. So who cares if they do that? I mean, should have happened a long time ago. Should have happened in their heyday. Who knows? And who doesn't like boneless wings? Here's an article on hiphopdx.com. The history of hip hop culture, fashion, and graffiti brought to life to beat positive exhibit. brought to life in beat positive exhibit. Let's read a little bit of that. The glory days of hip hop were alive and well at 10 Corso Como, New York's exclusive exhibit with Getty Images Beat Positive, a visual survey of some of the most important photographs in hip hop between 1981 and 1993. Wow, this sounds very interesting. Where is this happening at? Let's see. Maybe I pay a visit, take some photos for y'all, but you can go to hiphopdx.com and check it out yourself. But I'm talking about actually being there. It's an exhibit. It's in NY. Oh yeah, I've seen some of this before, so definitely worth checking out if you're in the area. Let's get back to that name real quick so I don't forget. Culture, fashion, and graffiti brought to life in Beat Positive exhibit. So just look up Beat Positive exhibit, hosted Hip Hop for the Eyes, a discussion of the culture's visual influence. Seems ill. I mean, again, I did an article maybe 2 years ago when hip hop turned 45, and even though I was throwing a couple of darts at hip hop fans, including myself, I also thought to come from the perspective of, hip hop is starting to move into a certain level. There's certain expectations of hip hop and music and the culture that need to go away. Not to be disrespectful to the art form, but it just ain't that, and it hasn't been that in years. Stuff like no biting allowed and ghostwriting and stuff like that. Some of that stuff has existed. Now, for some of us who came up with some of those quote unquote hip hop rules, it's disheartening to even know that, because that was kind of the mainstay of hip hop, right? You an MC, you don't bite nobody else's lyrics, name, style, nothing. You know what I'm saying? If you're a DJ, you don't bite anybody's scratches. Like, you had to be original, which kept a lot of whack dudes out of the limelight. Like, you would whack dudes and women. If you wasn't rocking like that on a mic or whatever it was you did, stand back and be a fan. We kind of need that nowadays. Because we're at the point now with hip hop where we're doing like Showtime at the Apollo when someone sings a gospel record, right? They could be a terrible singer, but are you really going to boo them? Some people be like, well, I don't care, I'm going to boo them. Yeah, but you're going to be the only one. Trust me, I've seen enough of it. So it is what it is. MC Stick of Dead Prez had this to say, that hip hop has lost its true heart. And I quote, as a culture in hip hop, broadly speaking, we seem addicted to glorifying, supporting, perpetuating, and celebrating negativity. We support and celebrate misogyny, self-hate, homicide, and genocide, and we do it with pure arrogance and ego in almost everywhere you turn in mainstream and social media. Rappers have become the joke of the culture, spitting out nonsense in flashy and catchy ways for the chance of fame and financial gain. Every major radio channel amplifies it. Wow, that's some powerful stuff he's saying right here. Men and women accept and participate in a negative atmosphere, all in the name of money, notoriety, and glorify the cliches of the streets. We have watched the same cycle breed death and cause harm in numerous ways over and over and over again. Your favorite rappers will speak out when a fellow rapper life is cut short due to the same nonsense mentalities that most of their own music perpetuates. It's not that we don't know better by now. It's a choice. He had this to say on Instagram. It was much longer than that. You can go follow him on Instagram and check it out. It's Stick, STIC. Obviously saying this in reference to what happened to Pop Smoke and what's been going on with a lot of these young guys in hip hop, whether they're getting murdered for getting robbed or whatever. A lot of them have been over the years have just been shot and killed. You know what I'm saying? Promising young stars just murdered for whatever reason, jealousy or whatever it may be. But he ain't lying though. I mean, we can go on and on with the debate. Again, I say this on every episode. I did an episode of this very podcast, which you can find everywhere, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all that good stuff. But it's called Boom Bap is Dead. And I knew I was going to get two reactions, right? I was going to get the people who are like, what is boom bap, or why is boom bap still around? And oh, that's just for old heads. And then there were the people who would say, you're crazy. There's people out here who still do boom bap. But then those people kind of missed the point. What you said throughout the podcast, all you got to do is listen to the episode. Boom bap used to be on the radio just as much as mumble rap. Used to be in the clubs just as much. There was no such thing necessarily as a party record when boom bap was at its heyday, because every hip hop record that was a hit was a party record. There wasn't really no division, but the sound was hardcore hip hop. That's basically what boom bap is. And living in the tri-state area like I do, you just don't turn on Hot 97, Power 105, and hear some of the boom bap records that I'm aware of. They're just not in rotation. They're just not. Now, maybe you stay up late, catch DJ Clue, K Slayer, whoever. You're going to hear some of it there for sure. But if you listen to that radio enough during the day from morning to, let's say, 8 p.m., you're going to hear nothing but trap and, quote unquote, mumble rap and R&B. And you won't be able to tell the difference between what genre is which and what artist is what, male or female. It doesn't matter. Okay, maybe I'm taking it too far, but you know what I mean. And a lot of it kind of sucks, because when you think about it, right? You think about the fact that, it used to be different. Why is it like this now? And I think to Stick's point, it's different because it's easier. It's easier to churn out artists who don't need time necessarily to create something special, right? The producers probably creating something special, maybe with a beat, but a catchy hook can just happen at any given point. Catchy hooks can be very easy to make if you're not really putting that much thought into it, if you're just really writing it off the strength of a feeling. I'll never forget the first time I listened to a 3 6 Mafia album. I was not ready. I liked all the songs. I thought the production value was ridiculous. Some of the clearest music I've ever heard in my life. But lyrically, some of the simplest stuff in comparison to some of the lyrical, miracle, spiritual stuff I was accustomed to listening to. And that's not a slight, that's just a difference. And the difference was, if 3 6 said the name of this song is Hot Chicken, Look the Fuck Out, that's exactly what you're going to hear in the hook. That's exactly the way they're going to say it. No smoke and mirrors. Now, when you raised off of hip hop and you look at a title, you really have no idea how a song's going to go, what it's about, blah, blah, blah. And it's never really as literal as you read in the title. That's kind of what I was accustomed to. So to fast forward to now, and not 3 6 Mafia or any boom bap records, when you think about mumble rap and trap music and all those records, that sound that dominates the airwaves, even here in New York City. I mean, the hooks are catchy. The beats don't have too many bells and whistles to distract you and be too complicated. Just give you the bounce. And the lyrics ain't going to do too much. It's easier for people when a song is easier for people to learn. The repetition of hearing it, the repetition of reciting it becomes easy and it becomes your favorite song. But when a dude is like lyrical, miracle, spiritual, all up in the hook and all in the verses, first of all, you got to realize what is he rapping about? That's first. Then when I understand, maybe I love it, maybe I get more into it, but you don't have to do that. So it's easier and it's cookie cutter. That's why you have a new name big artist every 5 seconds. Because it's easy to churn them out. And the worst part, to Stick's point, is generally negative in all aspects. There's almost no variety. Now, some will say, oh, well, there's Chance the Rapper. Well, Chance been singing more than he been rapping, okay? And there's just people who know that's not necessarily hip-hop. So, I agree with Stick, but at the same time, hip-hop has always been, I guess you could call it different subgenres or different types of MCs. You can't tell me that, well, you can't put it this way. You can't tell a younger artist not to rap about, guns and violence when I loved Kool G Rap for doing the same thing. Sure, it was absolutely clear that Kool G Rap was telling stories as opposed to somebody who's literally in a gang and is really only talking about things that are actually happening. But that's kind of the problem, right? Because they either go into prison, they either overdosing, or they're getting shot, or they're shooting somebody. And we kind of revere them for being real, right? It's what you rap about and it's really what's happening. But what happens when they're not here no more, right? You don't get no more of them records. All you get to say is, damn, and you post a bunch of music and was like, yo, he was the one and he was about to be and he was going to be this and this and that. Nah, he's not going to be anything because he had to live up to the lyrics that he wrote for you. So again, I don't think the problem is what they rap about. I think the problem is trying to live up to what you rap about. Or worse, actually being what you rap about. That's when it becomes toxic. That's when it becomes bad. And that's not necessarily on a younger or older generation, because let's not pretend like older cats aren't out there rapping about stuff and doing the same dirt. But there are consequences. And just because you got a video doesn't make you immune to the consequences. So I agree with Stick. It's unfortunate. But I'm the type of dude where I think it's excellent that he made that point. But pointing the finger is never going to get anybody to cooperate, especially in hip hop. So a week ago or so, if you're from the future, you know what to do. Get your ass out of here. But it was said that Drake had a unlimited budget with Universal. Now, at first, I almost fell down. Straight almost fell down because I was like, what? Like, I've never heard that. But then at the same time I was thinking that sentence I just said, I've never heard that. I was like, but this is Drake. And you know why I say that? I'm not saying he's the king rapper of the world and the best artist that ever graced the earth, whatever. I like Drake. But the problem, well, not the problem. The thing is before this story came out, I was thinking about Drake's career, right? because I saw this article about, here's the real ages of some of your favorite rappers. And I remember looking at the article like, I thought everybody knew these ages. You know what I'm saying? Because it was pretty clear that Drake and Kendrick and all these dudes is like in their 30s and not in their 20s anymore. So that means they've been in the game for a minute, right? Obviously, Jay-Z and Eminem and all, they like 50. But I was thinking about Drake, right? And I was like, man, Drake is going to have one hell of a greatest hits CD or playlist since CDs ain't around, right? Because he got a lot of hits. He has so many hits, you forget about the phase when he first got really hot. You totally forget about all those records. You forget about them early Young Money days where he, like, almost everything he was touching was hot. But the crazy part is he's been that way. Every time now, I don't like every record that comes out. Like, I'm not a fan of God's Plan. I'm sorry. I just really think that is don't get me wrong. The message is fine. I'm just saying reaction to it just seems really overblown, but I guess it speaks to people differently. I feel like he's had better singles than that are hits. But nevertheless, every time he dropped, he got hits. And it's not like, I get this one single that's hot, I drop my album, and then everybody forgets about me. No. Hit after hit after hit. Featured on hits. So I was like, well, of course they giving him an unlimited budget, man. Everything, he know what he's doing. The money, the return is going to be there for Drake. Well, this article says that not only does Drake have an unlimited budget, but so does Nicki Minaj and Young Thug. Now, I don't know about that. But the crazy part is Baby kind of backed this up. Well, let's see if we can find a quote. This is on hiphopdx.com. The record exec quickly responded, if ever Drake or whenever Drake calls up and says he needs something for his project, I give it to him. I got an open book. I was given an open book with Doug Morris and Mel at a young age in the business. When Lucien came, he gave me a bigger book. So with me having an open book, I gave Wayne an open book. He opened his book for Drake and Nicki, and now they're doing the same thing. I gave Young Thug an open book, so he opened his book for other people. What I mean by open book is you can spend any amount of money you want. I'm signing the Cash Money Records, fam. That's what I'm talking about. You heard me, baby? Playboy. Now, look. I only say that because this is a man who's trusting his artists. Now, I know there's some dude out there who is completely trash, who's making trash records all the time. Yes, I'm talking to you. And I know you're saying to yourself, give me an open book, baby. No. There's a reason why he's doing it, right? It's the return on the investment. He knows that what they've done, apparently, is just always a success, which probably means there's always money, return on the money. Now, sure, I'm pretty sure he wants to know, what you doing, but he ain't saying no. Yo, I'm trying to get Sade on this album. Boom, here you go, baby. Sign it. Sign how much she want. Are you finished? Or are you like, yo? I see why he would do that. I mean, I would do that for Drake because the thing is like he hasn't missed yet. What reason do I have to deny him? To hold his project back? Every time he dropped, it's successful. Every time I think he's done, he has a hit, another hit. Why wouldn't I say, what you want? Go ahead, do that. I think the part I like about it the most is that he's trusting his artists, right? Because it's one thing to just open a book and have somebody spend money, but you must feel that they're smart about their decisions and that their decisions are honest to whatever it is they're trying to put out there or convey. So you're not going to have a problem with it because you've been, they've already gained your trust in that regard. So I think it's dope. I mean, they're probably legends who got, look, put it this way. I feel like Kendrick Lamar don't even have a whack project yet. I don't think Kendrick got an open book, but I don't think Kendrick asking for one. I think Kendrick is the type of dude to be like, you know what? I want an album that sounds exactly like Into the 36 Chambers. When I say that, I don't mean the beats and stuff. I mean the quality, just grimy. So we just going to record this in somebody's room with comforters on the walls, and that's it. How much that album cost? Not much, right? So it is what it is. Royce the 5'9" released a new album called Allegory. I'm not going to do a review here because guess what? I listened to maybe half of it and haven't had the chance to get back to it, so we'll see what's up. Nipsey Hussle's alleged killer, Eric Holder, was in court on February 19th, and he gets a trial date, which I believe will be in April. If I'm not mistaken, I believe that's what it said. Yeah, I lost it. I don't remember where it is. Yes, at the beginning of April. So, talk about digging up old wounds, man. But has to happen. Got to go through this due process, man. Rest in peace, Nipsey. Dwayne Wade is featured on a new song with Rick Ross called Season Ticket Holder. And when I say featured, yes, he is rapping. Yep. Dwayne Wade. Yep. You heard that right. Miami Heat. Yep. Chicago. All of that. He is rapping on it, and I didn't press play, so let's keep it moving. And lastly, during an interview on with Crooked Eye, his show called Crook's Corner, Eminem appeared. Obviously. Slaughterhouse, Eminem, you know how I go. And Eminem spoke to something that most people who pay attention know what he's talking about. Eminem, and let's just say Eminem said he is absolutely a guest in the house of hip hop. Now you say to yourself, huh? What does that mean exactly? Well, long story short, Lord Jamar of Brand Nubian fame said, who doesn't like Eminem, by the way, said that Eminem is a guest in hip hop because he's white. Essentially, that's what he's saying. Hip hop belongs to the brothers. And Eminem is a guest in hip hop. He don't own it. He can never be the king of it. He can never rule it. But he's allowed to hang out with us. Maybe that's not exactly what Lord Jamar meant, but that's kind of what he's saying. So during this interview, Crooked basically asked Eminem, are you a guest in the house of hip hop? And without hesitation, Eminem confirmed yes. And he said this, and I quote, and obviously you can go and check out King Crooked. I assume it's also a podcast, but there's video. But his interview with Eminem, and this is Eminem, and I quote, the funny thing is, I don't know if I got a chance to say this yet. The funny-ish is the whole beef, a certain person, Lord Jamar, we know that is, never said I wasn't a guest. I'm absolutely a guest. I never said I wasn't. I never said I was king of anything, right? I had a song called Kings Never Die. That was the concept of the song. I'm like, I can't say I'm the king of hip hop, so I threw Run DMC in there, Jam Master Jay. I don't want to be the king of hip hop. Who the F is the king of hip hop? Is there a king of hip hop? People say just because you sell the most records doesn't mean you're the best. Even though you can rap 40 million syllables doesn't mean you're the best. I care more rhyming the syllables. I care more about the craft than any of the other stuff. Now, I've been accused of defending Eminem because I'm a fan. But that's typically coming from people who don't like Eminem, right? And I'm a fan of Eminem, but I'm not a stan of Eminem. Like, I'm not a stan of anyone, to be honest. I'm not going to go to bat for someone if I don't agree with them. But just in the same vein that I could say, if Eminem was black, he wouldn't be this. I could say, well, because Eminem is white, he's looked at this way. Why? Because a lot of people respect him, and that rubs some people the wrong way. Like, as much as Lord Jamar want to say, ain't nobody thumping that in the hood like that. Yeah, you're not hearing Eminem music, even when he was hot like that, was bumping out in the hood like that. But I did hear it a couple of times, you know what I'm saying? And no, it doesn't make him the best ever, but MCs all say that, right? Like, if Eminem was black and he said it was the best ever, it would be par for the course. So why would it be different because he's white? Now, the whole guest in hip hop thing, I just think it's kind of stupid, because I think it goes without saying that we started this. When I say we, I'm talking about African Americans, and I'm talking about black people in America. We started hip hop. You can trace the roots back to other genres of music, and those other genres of music star a brother, right? That was doing some form of rapping. So it is ours. But we got to understand that there are people of other races that have now grown up with this. And they're not growing up with like, whoa, the MC Hammer was the best and Vanilla Ice. No, they're growing up with the same dudes you like and champion, right? Understanding the rules, feeling the same way. I always felt that way about Eminem. I always felt like Eminem knew that no matter what he did, he would have to always prove himself to the black audience as an MC. And I think the thing that made me like him was the fact that he seemed comfortable with that, because that would drive somebody crazy. How many artists have we seen, R&B, hip hop, or whatever, use hip hop, use R&B and soul to get hot? Not only with a Caucasian audience, but with a black audience. And then leave hip hop and those artists and those producers they work with to go do something else and make even more money. Those are culture vultures. Somebody like Eminem could honestly, a long time ago, could have just started making different type of hip hop. Could have just really changed the name of hip hop, and there was nothing we could do about it, because, the mainstream just would have went with it. But I'm going to say, like I always say, what benefit is someone in his position have to sign Conway and Westside Gunn to a deal? What benefit was it for him in his position at the time he was to sign a blackballed, shot up, no bidding war craziness, nothing crazy at least, 50 Cent and G-Unit? How is that benefiting him? He is the one at the mountaintop. He's the one selling the records. He's the one who has the money they want, the shine they want, essentially. And never did it, at least to me on the outside, it occurred that he gloated because he did it. He did it because he's a hip hop fan. And I think that's what makes me defend him, because I see a fan. I see a straight up fan who's sold a lot of records himself, but is not fazed by it, who really only cares about hip hop. There's no benefit to signing Slaughterhouse. Nobody was trying to come get any of them as a group or soloist. Nobody. Sure, those things didn't work out, but of course they didn't work out, because mainstream don't really want to hear a whole bunch of spitters. But you get my point. So it's not to say that Lord Jamar is wrong and Eminem is right. That's not the truth. The point of the matter is, it just doesn't make it. It just sounds stupid going against a dude who is clearly shown that all he cares about is hip hop music and culture. And since I'm black, I can say this. Lord Jamar is sitting on Vlad's couch. Don't get me started on culture vultures. That's going to do it for me for this week. You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at VegasWorldINC, and find this very podcast wherever you listen to podcasts, whatever podcasting app you use. All you got to do is search for the words Hip Hop Now Podcast. Hit that subscribe button, like button, comment if you will, and most importantly, share this podcast with people you know enjoy this kind of content. Also, you know what it is. You want this content to grow. You want more. You want more quality. You want more elements, more content. You want this podcast, Hip Hop Now Podcast, to stick around. Well, join the family. Patreon.com/Hip Hop Now. Until next time, y'all. I am not a critic. I'm a fan. Peace.
Drop it on the random.